Alrighty, welcome back. Today's episode, we are jumping into stock RV-10 door seals, and then we'll wrap up at the end going over the new seats from Vans. Let's get to it. Alright, YouTube. So, when it comes to doing these seals, there's a little bit of an issue. In the Vans plans, I'll show a screenshot somewhere on the screen here, but in the plans they talk about a particular 3M product that is unfortunately no longer being made. I actually reached out to 3M, I gave them a call and emailed them, and both people that I got a hold of said 3M is not in that market anymore. They do not have any recommended substitutions. It also probably did not help that I mentioned that this is for an airplane. You mentioned the word airplane, and all of a sudden everyone gets tight-lipped. So that may be what happened there with 3M. But at the end of the day, they were not able to recommend another product. Even the person I talked to on the phone, and it's unfortunate. I did a little bit of chatting back and forth with ChatGPT, which we know is always 100% accurate. Sarcasm. But no, when I chatted with ChatGPT, it mentioned that 3M is no longer in the forever chemical game, which is interesting. I only find it interesting because I don't intend on ever planting this airplane in the ground, so I should not have that concern about it being in forever chemical. But anyways, what I'm getting to is 3M no longer makes that product. I spoke with Vans Builder Support asking if they had any other recommendations. They unfortunately did not have other recommendations, but did have the sound advice of trying a few different things. I mentioned that I wanted to try Permatex clear RTV adhesive sealant. He said that may be a good option, but to go ahead and do my own tests. So going back over to ChatGPT and Gemini, I used them both side by side. They both determined that for a silicone product, which is what I think this is, it's I guess tangent here, I asked ChatGPT how to identify this rubber door seal material, and it told me to do a burn test. That burn test looked like this. I'll put somewhere on the screen here. And my conclusion was that it's probably a silicone-related product. So just due to whatever ChatGPT told me with that white, crusty burn product. If you think otherwise, if you're a material expert, a burn expert, comment down below, let the other people know. But knowing that, I kind of knew what kind of products I had to use. So going back to both Gemini and ChatGPT, running them side by side to see if they were both in agreement, anyways, both of those different AI platforms recommended this particular product, which is Dowsil 732. It's nice because it's available locally. I was able to pick it up at the local Granger. So, anywho, pick this up, but also knowing that I had a clear tube of Permatex already in the toolbox, I went ahead and made a test sample because Permatex Clear RTV is available at pretty much every hardware store. So what I'm getting at is I have a sample here. We have 732 and we have Permatex. I'm going to do a very non-project farm, very unscientific, non-scientific, see I don't even know English, but I'm going to do just a pull test on each of them. I have a 5-gallon bucket here, I have a clip, I'll clip it on here, and I'm just going to throw water bottles into the 5-gallon bucket and we'll see which product is stronger. Alrighty, Permatex is first. And I guess I'll just set it down, pick it up, that way I'm not causing it to bounce or anything. That is one bottle. 5 bottles. 5 was it. Alrighty, Dow 732. 1 water bottle. Five. This is where the Permatex failed. Just gonna let it sit for a second in case it is actively peeling. But it looks like it is holding better than Permatex. Six water bottles. I heard a slight crackling just now. I'll sit here for a second. And by the way, you can't see it on camera. This is horrible footage. Again, this is not a Project Farm video. But I have my fingertips on either side of it. This piece of fiberglass does flex, but I'm probably, I don't know, a 1/4 inch away from either side of it with each of my fingers, not holding the rubber itself. So that was, what are we at? We're at, I can't math. We're at 6. Let's go to 7. Wow. 9 water bottles. 9 did it. Now, why I find this incredibly interesting is I actually did a different peel test where I gave them each 24 hours prior to reading this Dow 32 label. When I did the peel test at 24 hours, Permatex was the winner, which is really interesting. And then I looked at the back of the Dow 732 product, and it requires a full 7-day cure time, whereas this one is a 24-hour cure. This is, I think it skims over in 5 minutes, and then something in 24 hours, and then 7 days. Let's see here. Yes, skins over in 5 minutes, dries to the touch 1 hour, bonds in 24, full mechanicals achieved in 7 days. So give this stuff a long time. If you're doing the stock door seals, I generally don't know what I'm talking about. Do not take this as how-to advice, but I am personally using this Dow 732 product. And anyways, good to know. Give it a full 7 days to cure before you start mounting it on and off and messing with the door seal. Give it time to cure because that is some very, very strong stuff. Silicone is really hard to adhere to, and it adhered really well to this silicone door seal, or what I think is silicone. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to get to it. 11. Summer is here. It is hot in this garage, but we are done with the door seals. The other one that I just wrapped up, somewhere over there, the camera battery, the memory is full, so I'm on my iPhone here. But this other door seal I completed last week. It is cured, it is set, and it looks fantastic. So flipping the camera around, it looks really good. I know most people prefer the McMaster door seals, that door modification, but I'm happy with how these turned out. The little plates were really satisfying to make. They turned out looking really nice. I got a really nice seam where the two meet right there. And yeah, I'm happy with it. It looks really good. I could see where if you were going with a different color interior, this may be a little bit abrasive, this color. To me, it matches really well with the Zolatone finish on the inside. But anywho, you'll see I have it already nice and done. You can see the squish that kind of happens inside of here. Maybe kind of hard to see, but it contacts there and then full door close, kind of squeezes it down even more. But get this inside here, you can kind of see what's going on when I turn the handle. Got nice compression along the inside. What could be a gotcha, honestly, I could have left a little bit more meat on this bottom part of the flange. I am happy with it still. It is still meeting up with that seal really nicely, but I could have definitely done with, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch more material there. But again, I think I'm fine. But looking on the inside, I think it looks really, really sharp. Kind of hides in nicely. The Zolatone can kind of carry all the way through without being interrupted by a seal. I'm also just kind of setting it in stone that I like it like this because I spent so much time and I'm not going back. But no, I'm happy with it. Again, the other one is drying over there. You probably saw I used a bunch of those little aluminum little pieces to glue it along the side. I would totally do that again. I got really, really nice coverage with it, where it is just nice and firmly held in. So anywho, they look great. So other than that, you probably see I have the seats in. I did not get this on camera. Honestly, really not much to it other than they're kind of involved. And by kind of, I mean really involved. These new seats are pretty involved from Vans. The old ones, I guess, came made for you. These, you put every rivet in them. Riveting these bottom parts here is a major pain because they're loose. When you go to assemble them, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're a pain. You have to buck all of them, and there's a flange on the back side that makes you have to use a footed tungsten bar, or not tungsten, bucking bar. I wish I had a footed tungsten bucking bar. I had a steel one, and gosh, it was a nightmare using this guy here, which I really dislike that bucking bar. But anywho, the seats are done. I'm happy with them. A couple of little gotchas though, or not really gotchas, but it is hard to hold them. You'll see I have a little ding here. That was my only one that got messed up. I don't care because I'm gonna have a seat cushion on top of it. But the whole thing, when you're trying to buck it, this seat pan is loose while you're trying to buck it. And it got loose, and you can see where it just kind of rolled off the side. Again, it's gonna be covered with the seat. Only you people on YouTube will know, and if you're ever prying around under my seat cushions, we're gonna have problems. Other than that, the only other thing that I did do differently from the plans, which with some advice from Slack, was added a little bit of grease in these gear mechanisms here. You can't really even actually see it, but added a little bit of grease. That way with the teeth aren't just metal on metal, there's a little bit of lubrication. Also, while it's sliding there, slides very nicely. So it was pretty cool. I sat in here earlier, played with the controls, made a whole bunch of airplane noises. I had a really, really good time. With these seats, there are a couple of modifications that people make to them, and they don't really make sense if you've not seen these seats in person or built them, but I'm going to cover them real quickly here. First modification that people do is they remove or they add nut plates on this back block here. You'll see basically the way this works is there's a little bit of it, there's a T-handle here that lifts up and it pulls a pin up and allows the seat to be locked into different positions. So you'll notice this back one here is acting as a stopper for that guy. So what people do is instead of having these screws here faced upwards from the bottom of this gold piece here, instead what people do is they add nut plates on the bottom. So this aluminum piece here, the bottom hand that this whole thing bolts to, add nut plates underneath that, and then put screws from the top or bolts from the top. That is what I'm planning on doing. It does not have this currently. I wanted to get this assembled, figure out what the heck I was doing. But now when I get this removed, I will go ahead and add those 2 net plates there, and I'll use bolts from the top part down. And what that will allow me to do is remove just 2 bolts to pull this this track stopper off, and I can slide it out the backside and pull the seat out, which I'll get to here momentarily. If you did not do that upgrade or the modification, instead you would have to remove this T-handle here, which involves 4 different bolts. Remove this piece here. So basically doing this modification will save you 2 bolts. So that is one. The second modification that people do, I do not think is applicable to these new seats. And for that, I will go to the other side and I will explain why I do not think it's applicable anymore with this new seats. But what people were doing is, and you'll see it on Vans Air Force, you'll see it on the Facebook page, the RV-10 Facebook group, where people mention notching out an angle out of this plastic block here and kind of taking an angle out of it and then installing everything, with the idea being you can slide it back and then it can kind of rock forward on that notch that you cut out to get over your flap cover area here and carpet or whatever and pull out. I don't think it's applicable anymore. I think Vans solved the issue, or I just have a weird one-off case. But I think they solved it because I don't know if this track used to have this cutout. This was the other method that people used if they were not going to cut those plastic blocks in the front at an angle. I saw someone mention that they made this kind of a cutout on a track, and it allows you to pull it out and do the same thing. So anyways, I think Vans is now doing this for us. I will show you real quick here, but I don't have the T-handle on this one. I had to have this little clamp here so it wouldn't want to slide off to the back while I was just chit-chatting, because you'll notice it really wants to slide on its own. Those tracks are really really slippery, but one-handed, and I'm leaving this piece of car carpet there to simulate an interior carpet. But now you should see, with that T-handle removed, sliding back, it can angle up and the seat is now out. I'm not going to try to pull it all the way out because I'm probably going to drop something, but you'll notice now. So with this said, I think you no longer need to make this modification up front here. I'm not making any modification because you can see that worked. You do your own research, you do you, but the only modification again that I'll be doing is this back stopper here. I will be making the nut plate modification. That way I don't have to remove that handle that is located right there. Again, I am very pumped with how that turned out. So, don't know how long this video has gotten, but if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, comments, concerns, feedback, or you just want to say hi down in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video. Adios.